Hi, my name is Katie Kopp, and I work at Washington High School. I teach math here. For the last 2 years, I've been teaching Algebra 2 and Accelerated Pre-Calculus. My summer research was about the Algebra 2 group. My collaboration group has been collecting data over the year about all of our Algebra 2 students, trying to see if we can pinpoint who's struggling in Algebra 2 and kind of pinpoint more of the reason, possibly why. And then our next step would be to actually work on how can we support those students better. So what I discovered through actually analyzing the data this summer was that if students had D's in 2 or more semesters of any math class, then they were more at risk to fail Algebra 2. And then also if they took algebra skills as a freshman, they were more at risk to fail Algebra 2. So then the other area was if they had failed Algebra 2 the previous year, that was also a red flag for them not being successful in Algebra 2. And so the numbers were pretty significant, as you can see from the graphs. And so now that we have triggers for those, we're hoping to be able to better support those students through our collaboration work with discussing students that are at risk for possibly failing Algebra 2, so that as a result we can lower our failures and have more students be successful in Algebra 2. I will be sharing this data with my group. We've started to talk about this a little bit, but the graphs that you see along with this presentation will be actually shared with the group so that we can really visually see what's going on. And then this year I've also highlighted all of the students that fall into those categories so that we can put them in a study hall that has an Algebra 2 teacher to better support them.
My name is Andrea Peterson, and I teach at the Elementary Immersion Center at Jane Addams. I teach 5th graders.
My name is Casey Elder, and I teach 4th graders at the Elementary Immersion Center. Our summer research project focuses on language and beginning language skills for our Immersion Center students. So we last year kind of tried some things out on beginning speaking topics such as rooms in a home or items you need at school. And we saw that the students were really engaged and learned a lot of conversational English, but we needed some activities to go along with the speaking topics so that the students were using them more than just in a functional phrase to their teacher or to their friends. So our summer research project was to refine those topics and have a topic for every week of the school year, and then we added a go-to strategy with each topic. So the go-to strategies are different ways that students can interact with each other and use language. For example, one of the activities is I have, who has. I have soccer, who has football. Just getting kids moving and talking about new English topics with each other.
We also added some topics that were more academic topics about landforms. We added topics about U.S. symbols and social studies and science topics. So that way they gained academic language in those areas. We planned out the sentence frames that we would use each week and made sure that there was a variety throughout the school year, so students were learning different forms of language and not just single vocabulary words. After finishing our summer research, we were able to show some of our colleagues, and they are going to join us this school year. In addition, we're going to collaborate monthly to talk about ways that we can continue to develop the speaking topics that we do each week with our students.
My name is Margaret Dalton. I am a high school instructional coach for the Sioux Falls School District, and the summer research I did was entitled Differentiated Coaching, Meeting the Needs of New Hires More Effectively. So the purpose of my summer research was to analyze the literature regarding the more effective ways for instructional coaches to work with newly hired veteran teachers. My hypothesis was strategies that help coaches work more effectively with new to district veteran teachers are different than those that help coaches work more effectively with first-year teachers. This hypothesis was specifically geared toward looking at more effective strategies to employ during teachers' first encounters with district instructional coaches, which would be the new hire orientation. My findings concluded that teachers need a very clear understanding of coaching, particularly when working with a new hire veteran teacher. This idea has 2 components: understanding what coaching is and is not within the Sioux Falls School District, and also understanding why it is valuable within both the educational system at large and within a teacher's individual teaching practice. Over the last few years, the number of brand new teachers coming into the high school level in our school district has grown smaller, while the number of veteran teachers moving into our district has grown larger. And that is one reason why I felt it important to think about this concept, particularly for our new hire orientation. Over the last few years, the high school coaches have moved away from using the term new teacher orientation and started using new hire orientation to help honor those veteran teachers. Some changes that we made this fall already for our most recent new hire orientation include things like we made a commitment statement for teachers, and our commitment statement was to honor your knowledge and expertise as a teacher as we work together to provide the best learning environments possible for our students. We really wanted to make sure our veteran teachers knew that we valued what they were bringing into our district. Other elements that we added were that we spent more time exploring the why and the what of coaching and the coaching relationship than we have in the past. And we also made sure to build in more time learning each other's stories to really emphasize that we valued teachers' knowledge and expertise that they had from prior teaching experiences. As we work on planning for a new hire orientation for next fall of 2018, we plan to look into the literature a little bit more to see what other changes we can make to help both our brand new teachers and our veteran teachers embrace the concept of coaching.
Hello, my name is Trish Nelson. I'm an occupational therapist with the Sioux Falls School District.
And I'm Jolene Gordon. I'm a physical therapist with the Sioux Falls Schools.
Our research project was looking at the impact of the Ready Body Learning Minds program on elementary students in our school district.
Remember rolling down hills, jumping out of trees, riding bikes for hours, knitting with grandma, cooking with mom, playing dolls with elaborate story themes? Sadly, many students these days will not have these memories due to two working parents, safety concerns, overuse of electronics, and other modern issues. More and more students are coming to school with bodies that are not properly equipped to learn. The Ready Bodies Learning Minds program strives to provide a sound neurological base for children in a fun and creative way through group reflex integration exercises and multisensory station work.
Our research has proven that the Ready Body Learning Minds program increased motor and stability skills for students in the intervention group, decreased the number of retained reflexes in these students, improved bilateral coordination and crossing midline skills, as well as very positive functional outcomes for students in their daily activities at school, including learning proper movement mechanics, allowing them to build motor competence and core stability. They were able to use recess as an important opportunity to use these newly learned skills in a social setting with peers. Students demonstrated improved self-esteem and showed more confidence to be able to play and engage with their peers and better participate in activities on the playground and during their school day. Children engaging in the motor lab during this school year are also more likely to report feelings of pride and sense of accomplishment to teachers and therapists. We would be happy to meet with whoever's interested and share our research findings and share more about the program and how it can benefit the students at your school.
Hi, my name is Chris Province and I teach 4th grade at Discovery Elementary School. The title of my research grant is Helping Struggling Readers in the Intermediate Grades. At the beginning of last year, 5 of my 25 4th grade non-ELL students were reading at a 2nd grade level or lower. To better understand our low readers in 4th grade, the Discovery 4th grade team used the word analysis assessment from DRA and looked at their ability to decode words and to use their phonemic awareness to attack unknown words. After the first round of assessments, a significant pattern began to emerge. As their DRA score increases, you'll see their need for word analysis and decoding skills decreases. And as I saw this pattern, I thought that it looked very clear to me that there was a strong correlation between those students who needed extra work in phonemic awareness and phonics and those who had low fluencies. So I ran a correlation on an Excel program and it ended up being a -8.9. And the negative is simply because as their DRA increases, their need for phonemic awareness decreases. As a 1 in correlation is a perfect correlation, a -0.89 is very significant. So it appeared that there may be a strong connection between students' understanding about how words are put together and sounded out and their fluency. So this summer, I analyzed a set of grade 2 through 5 data that was similar to the data that we collected for 4th grade. And here's the 4th grade correlation of a -0.89. But this is the pattern that was so curious to me. The 1st grade connection between phonemic awareness and fluency is really very slight, as the researchers point out. But as we get into 2nd grade and 3rd grade, it becomes much stronger. And so this was curious to me because by 5th grade there's almost a perfect correlation between the student's ability to use their phonemic awareness and their fluency and comprehension. Although the research related to upper elementary students not identified for special education and who are still struggling is very limited, I was able to tap into some compelling contemporary research from the University of Florida's Center for Research, which was conducted their work in 2008. And it focuses on the importance of fluency and reading comprehension at all grade levels. This research concludes that poor readers rely heavily on context clues, which are no longer available as they get older. In the lower grades, you might see a picture of a duck holding an umbrella with rain, and it says the duck is in the rain with an umbrella. So students can use those pictures to really read. They also rely on their memorized word bank, which, as the Florida research suggests, decreases compared to all of the grade level peers because the poor reader struggles to analyze the words that they're reading and understand them immediately as our good readers do. I hope that all of my low-level readers will have access to a program called Imagine Learning, which we now have in our district for ELL students and for the students who have identified as learning disabled. With Imagine Learning online, the students will have at least 90 minutes of intensive instruction in phonemic awareness and a specially engineered text that helps them to implement their new learning. By combining the required 100 minutes a week with an increase in an intervention group that I will implement, my students have a much greater chance of becoming proficient by the end of 4th grade. I also plan to increase my use of vocabulary building practices and have students practice reading their vocabulary to each other so that all students gain an automaticity in using their new words. Thank you for the opportunity to conduct this inquiry. I will be making a presentation to the Discovery Elementary staff during our open meeting in September. I would also be available to discuss or share this research with anyone who'd listen or who wants to. If you feel it would be beneficial, just call. Thanks.
My name is Jenny Taggants. I'm an elementary special education teacher. I teach at Laura Wilder. My summer research project is on mindfulness instruction with students. Mindfulness is just having awareness of the present moment in a kind and non-judgmental way. Mindfulness strategies help students to attend to tasks and to regulate emotions and behavior, and also demonstrate improved social skills. Students also show increased academic skills due to their increased ability to focus and improved executive functioning skills. I grouped my reading into 4 categories of information: mindfulness for teachers, strategies for teaching mindfulness to students, mindfulness curriculum, games and activities, and then also mindfulness picture books for kids. I used the information from my reading to create a document with mindfulness strategies, lessons, and materials. Some of the lesson topics included strategies for breathing, calming techniques, movement and yoga activities, and practicing skills such as gratitude and compassion for others. I also added a list of books, websites, videos, music, and iPad apps that can be used to help teach mindfulness to students. I plan to implement these strategies with students in the upcoming school year. I co-teach in the general education classroom, so I plan to teach mindfulness to kids to a full class with the classroom teacher, and then also review skills with small groups of students who have social, emotional, or attention goals as part of their individual education plan. Co-teaching in the classroom helps students generalize these skills and use them with their peers. I also plan to introduce mindfulness strategies to my staff during staff meetings. The teachers I work with can experience the benefit of practicing mindfulness strategies themselves and also use strategies to learn with their students. I've seen a lot of benefit from mindfulness practices in myself, and I look forward to seeing the benefit in my students as well.
So my name is Rachel Turner. I am a chemistry teacher at Roosevelt High School. I teach chemistry, all levels, including AP, Accelerated, and then Survey of Chemistry, which was the class that I used for the summer research. In the research, my goal was to basically create video lessons highlighting the topics that students needed to know for Survey of Chemistry. And the reason why I thought this was important is because a lot of the students in this class struggle with both attendance and reading issues. They're usually at a lower reading level than their peers. And so the combination of the poor attendance and the poor reading level made it difficult for them to be accessing the information they needed to know when they were absent. So the purpose of the video lessons was to hopefully provide a way for students to stay caught up on the material they needed to know so that when they returned to school, they were at the same place as their peers and we could work towards ultimately graduating with that credit. So the website I tried to make very user-friendly, both for parents and then for other teachers in the district, because I know that no one else has made these video lessons because this is a fairly new class to the district in the curriculum. So when you enter the website, students will select Survey of Chemistry, and then there's two options, both semester 1, semester 2. And so from there, it's broken down by unit that is taught, and students can choose to look at the PowerPoints that are associated with that lesson, the video lesson, which is what I created, and then also the guided notes. Again, sometimes students struggle with what is the important need to know information, so those guided notes link to the videos so that it can hopefully walk them through what they need to know from that video. So the next step will be to share this with other teachers, both in the building and in the district. Ultimately, the goal is to help all students succeed and learn, so this is not something just to be housed at Roosevelt. But Roosevelt also has an R2 program for struggling learners, and that will be shared with the R2 teachers as well as the summer school teachers for students who need to recover those credits. It'll be shared with the teachers at Joe Foss as well for if any students have OSS, that they can get caught up there and not fall behind. The other nice thing about this is that I can see per week how many people are accessing the site. So I can kind of track if this is something that is being utilized or if it's something that maybe needs to be tweaked so that it's more user-friendly.
My name's Barb Nuit, and I teach AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2 at Roosevelt High School. My project for the summer was to look at how improving critical thinking skills in student homework would affect their performance on the assessments at the end of each unit. Basically what we found is that traditionally when you look at physics homework is very calculation based. So many of the problems that we would have seen normally would have been something where you would have had just numbers given to students in a problem. Their basic assessment was on whether they could find the correct equation and put the numbers in correctly. However, about 4 years ago, both AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2 went through some major curriculum revisions. And during that time, the College Board decided that we wanted to really incorporate more critical thinking skills into those classes. And so since that time, students have been assessed on much more of the critical thinking aspects of the course. Well, traditional physics textbooks haven't been able to change quickly enough to keep up with that. So if you look at a traditional physics textbook, the homework in that textbook is still very calculation based. There's very few diagrams. For the most part, students are told exactly what information they'll need to use, and all they have to do is come up with the correct equation. My summer project was to write new homework problems that would allow students to practice those critical thinking skills that they're being assessed on. So as you can see on the Word document here, what I've done is tried to incorporate many more diagrams and more higher level thinking into those homework problems. In these types of problems, students will look at the diagram. They may not be told exactly what information off of there they're going to need. So the first part of the problem may specifically ask them what information in this diagram is important and what information wouldn't affect your final answer. And in some cases, there may be 2 or 3 pieces of extra information that they won't need. Their first task is to figure out what is important and what's not. The second thing that you'll see on these homework problems is that most of them end with some sort of a prediction. So after they've made their calculation and determined what's important, students will be asked often for a longer written response where they need to then predict how this situation might change under future circumstances. So that part of the problem might say something like, you know, if this quantity is increased, how would that affect your final answer for this problem? Or would it affect the final answer at all? Maybe it doesn't change anything. And so that allows students to practice many of the same skills that they'll be using on the assessments. I was pleased to find that by adding critical thinking skills into student homework, they did in fact perform much better on the end of unit assessments. So hopefully by practicing those same skills that you're going to use on the test at the end, they were able to perform better. At this point, I've rewritten 3 units worth of homework for the AP Physics 2 class. I am hoping to improve on that as we go through the school year and continue to add more teacher-written homework with critical thinking skills to those problems.